It's been a big week for the Pocket Monsters anime, and not one episode is aired yet. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another episode of Poke Talk, and today's episode of Poke Talk is going to be a discussion revolving around the Pocket Monsters anime and all the information that we got this week. And boy, this week was just one big information drop, I kid you not. We got the first 4 summaries of the first 4 episodes revealed. We got the first 9 episode titles revealed. We got introduced to a couple of new characters, a couple of new previews, and then not only that, we got introduced to a couple of new characters as well. This week was just one big information drop ahead of the beginning here, and there is a lot to talk about. So, at risk of further rambling, let's get into it. And I'm going to start with the first 4 episode summaries. And I'm going to start with episode 1, Pikachu is Born, which will air on November 17th. And the summary reads that this must-see first episode not only depicts Ash, Go, and Pikachu, who hadn't become a Pikachu at the time, as children, but also shows us the scene from episode 1 of the entire Pokemon anime, where Ash and Pikachu meet, told from Pikachu's point of view. So essentially, it's a retelling of a story we already knew, but this time it's from Pikachu's point of view, whereas episode 1 was told from Ash's point of view. A nice little role reversal here as we kick off the next anime, in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to this, especially because it's going to be Pikachu's backstory, something that really wasn't delved into much at all beginning in the anime here up until now. So seeing this is really a nice change in my opinion. And I'm really looking forward to Pikachu is Born, again airing November 17th. Next episode summary we got was for episode 2, and it reads, On Lugia They Go, Ash and Go. This episode is set to air on November 24th, and the summary reads that Ash gets invited by Professor Oak to attend the opening ceremony of the Sakuragi Labs in Vermilion City, but during the ceremony, he senses the appearance of a gigantic Pokemon and goes to the port where he sees Lugia appear before another Pokemon trainer that got there before him. A new adventure begins for these two. So this episode is going to be the first meeting between Ash and Go and the start of their journey together as traveling companions begins. Again, it's always great to get an episode where we're getting introduced to the new traveling companions here, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Ash and Go's personalities interact with one another in this first episode. Again, another hype building episode, in my opinion. Okay, so now on to episode 3, and this episode title is Ivysaur is Quite Mysterious, Don't You Think So? This episode is going to air on December 1st, and the episode summary goes on to read that Ash and Go have become research fellows at the Sakuragi Laboratories in Vermilion City, Kanto. Their first job is to investigate a mysterious march of Ivysaur in the city. They immediately go into the city, where they see that Ivysaur are all heading towards a certain location. Ash and Go are about to discover the secret of Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur. So again, another exploration episode within episode 3. Again, not much more on this, and really not a lot more to say for me on this episode summary. But again, it's going to be the first episode with Ash and Go together. So again, really looking forward to seeing that dynamic there. And it's also going to be a pretty anticipated episode, I'm sure. The first episodes with the new traveling party always are. But as always, that is the episode summary for the December 1st episode, episode 3. Ivysaur is Quite Mysterious, Don't You Think So? Okay, now the episode summary for episode 4, and this is where things really pique my curiosity, in my opinion, because this is going to be the first episode within the Galar region here. And the episode summary for episode 4, episode title, Let's Go to the Galar region and Encounter with Scorbunny, airing on December 8th. And the episode summary reads, Ash and Go have heard there's a phenomenon in the Galar region that causes Pokemon to grow to gigantic sizes. The two of them immediately head there in order to investigate this phenomenon. When they arrive in Shoot City, Galar, they get thoroughly engrossed in the beautiful cityscape and the local spectacular scenery, but then they encounter a group of Pokemon they've never seen before that are playing pranks around the city. So that is the episode summary for episode 4, and episode 4 is going to take place in the Galar region by all appearances. And this is where I gotta say something here. When I saw these episode titles, I'm like, okay, we're going to be in Kanto the first 3 episodes, and then we're immediately going to Galar after that, and then by all appearances, by these next episode titles, we're going to be going to Johto next. I'm just like, really? Like, why are we going all over the place all of a sudden? I thought it was going to be arc in a region, break, back to Kanto, arc in a region, blah, 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 etc., further down the line. And it doesn't appear that it's going to be doing that here. And immediately my curiosity was piqued on that, and also my kind of worry scale kind of clicked a little bit more on that, just because of this whole all over the place kind of deal. That was kind of my big gripe with Sun and Moon, and I'm really hoping that they don't do that here. But then when I read this interview that came out, and we'll talk a little bit further about that later on in the video about that interview here, when I read that, it kind of made a little bit more sense. But again, deep down, I'm kind of worried that we're going to go the Sun and Moon route with this. I'm just really hoping that doesn't happen. What can I say? I'm just hoping that we don't go down that route again, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So that was it for the episode summaries up until December 8th's episode. Now I want to go ahead and talk about these episode titles for the next episodes up until episode 9. The first one being for episode 5, which will air on December 15th, and that is Snorlax Becomes Gigantic, The Mystery of Daimax. And again, this is going to be a Galar region episode, obviously, because of that. No further information other than the episode summary and the air date at this time. Then we go on to the 6th episode, which will air on December 22nd, and that episode summary, or episode title rather. Okay, next we have the episode title for episode 7, Don't Lose Piplup, the Drift Ice Race in Sinnoh. That's right, everybody, we're going right from Galar to Sinnoh here, and again, it's very interesting that we're going all over the place with these episodes. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but no further information on that other than the episode title and the air date, which will be January 12th of 2020. Again, still a ways out, but it does look interesting to me because we're going back to Sinnoh, which is my second favorite region in the entire Pokemon franchise, right behind Kalos. Okay, next up we have the final summary, or the final title rather, for this batch of episodes that are going to come out for this anime, and the title reads, The Promise We Made That Day, The Ho-Oh Legend of Johto, and that will air on January 19th, 2020. So like I said, no further information on that as well, but again, it's really kind of mind-boggling that we're going all over the place so far. I mean, so far we've been to Kanto, we've been to Galar, then we've been to Sinnoh, now we're going to Johto. It's just all over the place, everybody. But again, it's going to kind of be a wild ride here, and I'm really hoping they can handle this well. And those were just my thoughts on the titles and summaries. Alright, now let's talk about another big thing that happened this week with the new Pocket Monsters anime. We got introduced to a couple of new characters here. They are 2 researchers in the new anime series at Sakuragi Institute, revealed in Animedia, or Anime Media rather, and we get introduced to these 2, and the first one is Kikuna, and she's just a woman with a calm personality. That's all we got on her. And then we got Renji. It seems unlikely at first glance, but his abilities are excellent. His rough hair is his trademark. Not a whole lot more on them, but again, it's interesting that after all of these episode dumps, we got introduced to 2 new characters as well, so they deserve to mention as well. Again, these 2 new characters, Kikuna and Renji, are going to be in the anime. They're going to be researchers at Sakuragi Institute, and they're going to be very interesting characters to get to know, I'm sure, later on as the anime progresses. Okay, now for the big elephant in the room here, this interview, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing here. I'm going to go over this little snippet because I did allude to it earlier in the video here. And the interview goes to read, and this again explains why this anime is going to kind of be all over the place. And it reads, this series is going to have a lot more self-contained stories than others. This, Mr. Negishi explains, is because of the show's time slot change. Pocket Monsters airs on Sundays now, and people tend to go out with their family and friends, so they may not necessarily be able to keep up with a weekly series like they could before, so they're not going to do as many 2-parters or large arcs to help people be able to jump in whenever they want. If they do have a 2-parter or something like that, they've made it a rule that they have to make it in such a way that audiences can still enjoy the show no matter where they jump in from. And again, that's kind of explaining why this anime is going to kind of be all over the place. But again, I think it's kind of cool that they're doing this. Again, I do love the two-parters and I do love the larger arcs here, and I'm kind of disappointed that this series is not going to have as many of those because I do truly enjoy them. But the fact that they're doing this to accommodate the time slot change and they've made it a rule here kind of gets my hopes up that they're going to focus more on quality and that these shorter stories are going to have more depth to them than a usual Pokemon episode would. Again, at least that's my hope on that. And again, it also goes to explain why maybe this time slot change probably wasn't the best idea on Pokemon's part, but it is what it is, and they're working with what they got, and I gotta hand it to them and give them credit for that because that's not always an easy thing to do. And now for the final snippet of this interview, and I do want to read this because I just thought it was very interesting here and very cool how they did this. They had about 50 people audition for Go, 50 people audition for Koharu, and 50 people for Dr. Sakuragi. As soon as they heard Deki Yamashida's tape, they were like, this is it, we've got it. And they also had Rika Matsumoto, who is the Japanese voice actor for Ash. They asked her to record some lines specifically to be used for Go's audition here. So a couple of things. I find it very interesting that they had Ash's Japanese voice actor, Rika, pre-record rather, lines to be used for this audition so that they could kind of get a feel as to how these two characters would interact on screen before they even auditioned anybody out here. And the fact that as soon as they heard Dickie's audition tape, they were like, this is it, we've got it. That really says a lot, especially considering so many people auditioned to be a part of this. And not only that, the amount of people that auditioned to be a part of this new series just goes to show how interested people are in Pokemon in Japan and how people are interested in Pokemon in general because so many people wanted to be a part of this. And again, I just find it very interesting that they chose to do it this way to get Go's voice actor. And again, I think that's going to be a testament to just how these two are going to interact and how this show is going to be moving on forward, in my opinion. So with that, those were the highlights from the big information dump this week for Pokemon Pocket Monsters anime, which is set to begin next week. Again, everybody, I'm super excited for this show here. The episode titles were kind of a little disconcerting at first, but then when I read the interview, it made more sense to me, and I'm really going to be interested to see just how far this show can go and just where they're going to take it, and I really have expectations for this show that are a bit higher, and I'm just really hoping it's better than the all-over-the-place Sun and Moon. And again, that kind of explains a little bit for that as well, but I'm hoping that now they've kind of worked it out, they've got the kinks worked out, and they know where they're going with this show. Again, that's just my own personal thoughts and my opinion on that. But as always, everybody, in the comments section down below, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. What are your thoughts on these episode titles and summaries? Is there any in particular that you're looking the most excited to? What were your thoughts on the interview? And what were your thoughts on the auditioning process for Go? What are your thoughts on these new characters, these new researchers? Just let me know what your guys' thoughts are about all this in the comments section down below, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. Alright everyone, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye everybody.